Welcome back to the third and final part of tonight's show. If you're just joining us, we've already finished parts 1 and 2, where we tried and discussed Eagle Rare 10-year bourbon, and we've covered the first half of Sons of Anarchy Season 1, Episode 7, titled Old Bones. I want to remind everyone, please like and subscribe, and be sure to leave us your questions and comments in the comment section below, or you can also email your questions to us at ask@bourbonbros, that's BROS.TV. And as always, Ken, if your question doesn't suck, we may even answer it on a future show. So let's dig into the back half of the episode, Ken.
Sure. Before we do that, I'm going to pour, against my better judgment, I'm going to pour a little bit more of the Eagle Rare. I'm quite lubricated.
Treat me well tonight, Ken.
It is. I'm quite lubricated, so we'll see how this
Things
this final
could go off
section.
the rails in a hurry.
Yeah, it could, but all right.
It could be the best part of the show, frankly.
It could. It really could.
All right. So you had brought up Half Sack taking a dive.
Mm-hmm.
And one aspect of that was Clay separating Half Sack from Cherry, sex, drugs, alcohol. Right? He wants him focusing on the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But as part of that, he pulls Bobby aside and says,
What? Do me a favor. Push up on that thing, will you?
Really?
Really?
Happy Sack is all about that now.
Well, I want to see if she's all about him. And go with it hard.
so I'm going to refer to this moment as Bobby Bakes Cookies.
Because he does. He looks like a good cook.
He takes Cherry to a cabin, I think it looked like.
Yeah,
And
it
basically, Cherry's being sequestered while Half Sack prepares for the fight. And Bobby decides he's going to make his move on Cherry. And Bobby, resembling a pedophile, goes pretty hard at Cherry.
Not a sweet butt.
Oh, yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I came here for a kip. I'm not gonna be passed around anymore, all right? I'm done with that.
Come on.
Seriously. Ew.
Oh, Jesus.
Bobby Elvis. It did. It felt a little Agent Cone-ish. I mean, the way he was. It did.
And I
mean,
think
it
it's the
was
fact
perverted.
that Bobby normally wouldn't do that. He's doing what he's been asked to do.
Mm-hmm.
And on the one hand, he doesn't feel right about doing it. So it comes across a little weird and awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side, Cherry is there for the reasons that she said, right? She is there purely for Half Sack. It's not any ulterior motive. And Bobby baits her with, like, you get with me, I'll put in a good word for you. I'll get you what you want with the club. And Cherry doesn't fall for it, right? So her intentions are true. And so you have Bobby going from, I don't really want to do this. This doesn't really feel comfortable, but I'm going to do it because I've been asked.
Mm-hmm.
To almost having hurt feelings because he was rejected so hard. Like Cherry wants nothing to do with Bobby.
Right. Nothing. Slapped him back, and the look on Bobby's face was kind of like, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
I said, okay. Relax. Have a cookie.
Right.
You
I'm just going to
halfway-
eat cookies and watch the television show and forget this ever happened.
Halfway disappointed, but yeah, he moved on.
Yes. All right. So that was mine. We'll tie that up with the bow. We've got Half Sack taking a dive and Bobby baking cookies. You're up.
I don't know if it's super exciting, but I keep noticing Jax on his roof of the club, reflecting on his father's writings, and
It's like his spot,
it's his spot, it's his perch.
right? His spot of solace where no one else goes.
Right. I don't know if you caught it here, but Clay looks up and sees him up there and kind of is wondering. It happens pretty quickly, but he's wondering what's going on up there.
Okay. Great pull, Ken. Great pull.
There's a lot of deep dialogue when Jax is listening to his or reading his father's just the voiceover of his father's voice. You really have to think there as well as to what's being said, and it definitely it applies. But this one was just it's just Clay. He's like, what's going on up there?
But this is really the first time that Clay has caught Jax up on the roof. So you have to imagine he's sitting there going, why on the roof? What are you reading? But then it immediately cuts to something else and you never hear anything else about it. I have to imagine this is going to come back.
Yeah, it probably will. Yeah, it's just a setup. I don't know if it computes with Clay. It just happened, but I think you're right. It's coming back.
Yeah, I'm so glad you caught that. That was a really short, but I think it's an important scene. We're going to find out later, but I think there's more to it.
Right. So what's up next on your list?
So this is the more heavy, dramatic aspect of the episode, and I call this tough love.
Okay. Not sure where you're going. Where are you going with that?
So you find out throughout the episode that, they find the bones of 3 people. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are Mayans.
Yep.
Who's the third?
The third was Lowell's dad.
Yes.
What year did they cite? 1993?
I believe you're right. And what they've told Lowell Jr., the mechanic at Teller Motors, is his dad's still alive and out there. Mm-hmm. The reality is he's dead. Mm-hmm. And he's been discovered by these workers, construction workers, road crew.
The Old Bones.
So
the name of the
Old Bones.
Old
That's
Bones.
right. The name of the episode. So Gemma is basically being the woman behind the curtain and trying to influence Clay that, hey, you got to kill Lowell Jr. Like, they're going to identify these bodies. He's going to find out it's his dad.
Go crazy.
And he's going to
bury Sam Crow. He's going to fold.
That's right. So you got to kill him. And I know you like him. I know he's a good mechanic, but this is what you got to do to protect the club. And so Clay starts by going to Lowell and telling him that one of the 3 bodies that have been discovered is his dad. Mm-hmm. And he tells him, like, Hale, ATF, right? They're going to come at you and try to get you to turn on the club. And Lowell kind of says, hey, that's not going to happen, right? He reassures Clay.
He's already dead to me. He's already been dead to me.
That's right. And then he goes into the police station, and they do a good job at planting doubt in Lowell's mind. Mm-hmm. Right? He came in steadfast on the fact that he's got the club's back. He's not going to turn on them. But they come at him with some points that get into his head, and he starts to doubt that. And he ends up going on a bender.
Right.
Right? He's an addict. Mm-hmm. He's trying to resist that. He's got a young son. But this gets in his head, and he goes on a bender. Mm-hmm. And when Clay finds him, Clay knows this guy's a liability. I need to kill him. Mm-hmm. And he becomes brutally honest at that point, right? It's that I'm going to tell you everything about what happened.
Because I'm going to kill you.
Because I'm going to kill you.
Father wasn't killed by the enemy. He was the enemy.
No, he was a friend.
He was a loathsome piece of shit. Treated you and your mother like dirt.
And that turns into a moment where Lowell Jr. realizes, I have become my father. Mm-hmm. I am the same piece of shit, liability, and you killed my father. You're going to kill me. and it's like a dog submitting.
Yep.
Lowell Jr. is basically telling Clay,
Kill me.
kill me. Clay doesn't do it. He spares his life.
Yeah, but you don't see that in that scene.
No, you assume
It's
Clay kills him.
it's almost like you hear gunfire, but then the scene switches, and you don't figure it out till later. But in the end,
Right.
he spares him.
Yeah, it's actually at the end of the fight, right? After Tig makes his comment of get the hell out of here before I rape you both, which again,
Great line.
wow. But is it Tig who actually gets in the van and then sees Lowell in the back?
I think so.
And then later, I think Clay basically tells Gemma, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but like he's going to Sam Crow rehab.
Yeah, Sam Crow rehab. He tells
He's going
Gemma
to get
that
him
later.
cleaned up.
So it's his project now. He didn't kill him, but it's his project to kind
And
of clean
it's
him up.
really the first time we're seeing Clay take mercy on someone and show that softer side. Up until now, everything has been any threat, you kill it.
Yeah. He's a good mechanic. They keep saying he's a great mechanic. You got to keep a great mechanic around because Clay's just a motorcycle enthusiast. He's just a motorcycle enthusiast. So you got to have a good
You're
mechanic
right.
around.
He's just a motorcycle enthusiast and you need a good mechanic. Well played. Well played. For that, you get to tee up the next one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this Eagle Rares really treat me well. I think I have to go with the whole. I'll call it cold packs and toe tags. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember.
So they're
Our
trying
good friend
to.
Tig, once again.
It's always about Tig. Such great one-liners. I love that guy. But they're trying to get to the bones they're trying to get the bones out of the freezer at the hospital. So they visit Tara,
This is so
And they-
wrong.
and Tig is. They're trying to figure out a way to get access to the mortuary down in the bottom of the hospital, and Tig walks in and sees some interns, and he pulls his pants down.
Excuse me, ladies. How you doing? You doctors, both of you?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Doberman Pinscher, took a chunk.
Jesus
No, hang on,
Christ.
took a chunk of my ass.
The girls that are there just scramble. Well, he grabs their badge, and
Well, Jax grabs the badge.
Jax grabs the badge. That's right. Well, they're together, but that secures her access to the mortuary in the bottom of the hospital. So they go down there, Clay and Tig.
And I got to
again,
stop you real quick.
Okay,
I
go
love
ahead.
how Jack says, I just wanted you to distract him. And Tig's like, I really think this is infected.
I really think this is infected. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. This episode was great for Tig. But fast forwarding to when they're trying to check out the bones or get rid of the bones, so there isn't any DNA analysis done on the bones.
Right.
They're in the mortuary of the hospital, in the freezer, so to speak, and they pull these. They pull the
Dead body bones.
cadaver out,
Yeah.
and it's not who they're after. They unzip the body bag, and it's a woman, and Tig is strangely aroused. Do you remember this?
Hey, Frico, we ain't here to find you a date.
That was exactly the words I was going to use. Yes, he's aroused.
He mentioned something to Clay about, have you ever had one that's cold or something to that effect? Like,
You ever?
What? Cold pack? Nah, not my thing.
like this is a Like this has happened before. Like this is
Right,
a
because Clay's like,
hobby
hey,
of
we're not
his?
here for this.
No, we're not here for this. But Jack shows up into the freezer, and discovers that they've already been identified. What they're there to do is not going to produce anything. It's already been discovered, so there's no point in taking the bones away.
Right.
I just thought the whole thing with Tig there in the free. It was just a funny scene to me.
It was a great moment. Again, you're getting more insight into the character that is Tig. You also discover, again, it's kind of not, you've not been beat over the head, but now you know Clay's purposely been trying to keep Jax out of the morgue because he's afraid he's going to discover that it's Harlan Sr.
Yeah, but he does.
And he does.
He reads a tag. He's like, "This is Lo's dad."
Yep. But you're right. It's a great scene, but I'm going to actually jump out. I'm going to break the fourth wall, and I'm just going to say my ultimate goal in us doing this show is, and I realize it's not realistic, but I'm hanging on to this dream that someday this show could become popular enough to get Kim Coates on the show.
That would be awesome because I have so many questions for him.
So many questions.
And Juice for that
He's
matter.
amazing. Yeah. If there was some way we could garner enough attention to connect with Theo Rossi and Kim Coates, we could just end the show at that point. It would be like, there's nothing better at that point. They are amazing. Particularly Kim Coates' Tig. Like, no one else could have done that.
No one could have. And Juice, just their characters are just awesome. Just so well played. A lot of color
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I think we've got one more.
It's yours.
And I'll take this one. You're right. Yep, it's mine. It's similar to that moment you brought up where Clay sees Jax on the roof. It's a small moment, but you know there's so much more there, right? And so this moment is similar, which is the very last scene of the episode before it fades to black. And I call it pillow talk.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
It happens. It's happened a lot. It happens a lot in this series.
Yes, and it's a very low-key, kind of touching, dramatic moment. But this is, you're seeing Clay at the end of the day at home in the bedroom with Gemma, right? He can let his guard down as the rough and tough president of an outlaw motorcycle club.
With his
And
with
he
his
can be
knuckles
vulnerable.
that are all, he's always having knuckle problems, hand problems.
That's right. That's right. And so you have Gemma, again, the woman behind the curtain, always trying to influence Clay as the president of the club. And she's asking Clay,
What'd you tell Jax about the bodies?
Some of the truth.
And Lowell?
A little more.
The rest stays buried.
and Gemma, again, being that puppet master, right? Knowing that she wants to ultimately keep all of this in, not let out too much, follows all of that up with the rest stays buried.
Because she knows the picture. She knows the history.
That's right. So as a viewer, you know there's a lot more to the story.
Right.
And there's nothing overt, but you remember in church when Clay discloses that there are 3 bodies discovered, Jack says, that's right around the time my old man died.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go fast forward to the end where Gemma says, the rest stays buried.
Great catch.
Right? There's something there. And it's a very small moment, but the scene, the acting, the writing. There's so much more there if you peel away the layers of the onion.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
final thoughts.
Final thought is, I mean, I think I did a little research, and this was actually written by a Dave Erickson.
Yep.
So it wasn't written by Kurt Sutter. I mean, a lot of them are, but I think it was well done. Kudos to him.
Yeah, not any real major big ahas or major shoot 'em up moments, but there's a lot of kind of subtle things that I think are really critical in the overall story of the series.
Right. It all means something. It's a chess game.
Yes. Yes. So I like the episode like you. Again, I agree. If I was to reflect on the entire series, I don't think there's anything in here that necessarily makes my top 10 list, but it was certainly an enjoyable episode.
Yeah, I was entertained. But I've seen better.
Yes, which, speaking of better, that brings us to next week's show, where we're going to get into episode 8 titled The Pull.
The Pull. I like this episode for one reason. We'll get into it next week. I'm not
Don't share
going to share it, but there's one reason, we'll get back to this, that I like it. We'll get to that.
Yeah. This is a perfect example of why Old Bones doesn't necessarily make the short list of top episodes, because The Pull definitely does.
Yeah. Yep.
It has everything, and things are coming to a head.
Yes, they are.
Now, I'm not going to get into it now. We're going to save it for next week, but I'm just going to tease this a little bit. As much as this is a great episode with a lot of kind of major storylines converging and coming to a head, it's also one of my least favorite episodes with regards to Tig.
Really?
I love Tig, and I'm not going to get into the details now, but there's an aspect of Tig's character that I don't like in The Pull.
Okay. Well, let's
and we're
review
going to
it.
have a lot to unpack, Ken.
Well, let's review it next week.
We generally try to budget about an hour for the show. I don't know how we get through The Pull in 1 hour.
That's a challenge. I'll take it as a challenge.
There is a lot in that episode. Which brings us to our second most important question of the night. You know where I'm headed?
Yeah, I'm afraid I do.
What are we drinking next week, Ken?
Let's pick a beverage. Well, I think it's one I've been wanting to try. I have not tried it yet. I'm not sure if you have, but Elijah Craig. Have you heard of this?
So, great choice. Just great choice. So, yes, it is strange that neither of us have had Elijah Craig. I haven't had it. You haven't had it. It's the sister bourbon to Larceny, which we showcased on an earlier show. Mm-hmm. Was that last week?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was. Mm-hmm. So Larceny's a wheated bourbon. Elijah Craig is basically comes out of the same distillery, but more of a rye. And I've never had it. It's very well known. It's revered and popular. I've never had it.
Well, let's do it.
All right. So for those of you following along, Elijah Craig should be readily available. Go out to your local bottle shop, liquor store, whatever it may be. Pick up a bottle of Elijah Craig and join us here next week, where we'll get into that and The Pull.
The Pull.
That's going to do it for tonight's show. We hope you had as much fun as we did. One final reminder, for those of you watching on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe and check out our channel for more shows. For those listening to the podcast, please leave us a review. Again, only 5-star reviews. And subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. But most of all, as I say each and every week, Ken and I want to thank you for joining us for tonight's show. And we do hope you will join us here each and every week on the Liquid Courage Show. Good night, everyone.